You're in the right place if you're fascinated by ancient history and epic stories of kings and empires. Today we're talking about one of the most powerful rulers of the ancient world, often known as Xerxes the Great, who ruled the vast Achaemenid Empire from 486 to 465 BC. His reign was marked by monumental achievements and dramatic military campaigns. But who was Xerxes before he became the legendary king? Xerxes was more than just a conqueror. He was a builder, a visionary, and a complex character. He expanded the greatest empire the world had ever seen, but he also suffered crushing defeats that changed the course of history. The name Xerxes still echoes through time. Hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Xerxes was born around 518 BC to Darius I and Atossa, into a world of immense power and privilege, where his every need and desire was catered to. Darius I, his father, was a formidable ruler who expanded the Persian Empire to its greatest territorial extent, making it the largest empire the world had ever seen at that time. From his earliest years, Xerxes was meticulously groomed for leadership, receiving the finest education and training available. He learned the arts of war, mastering archery, swordsmanship, and military strategy, as well as the complexities of governance, studying laws, administration, and statecraft. He studied the religions and cultures of the many peoples under Persian rule, gaining a deep understanding of the diverse subjects he would one day govern. His mother, Atossa, was the daughter of Cyrus the Great, the legendary founder of the Achaemenid Empire, whose legacy loomed large over Xerxes' upbringing. This royal lineage set high expectations for Xerxes from birth, making him the heir to two great legacies, combining the might of Darius and the visionary leadership of Cyrus. As a young man, Xerxes showed immense promise, demonstrating qualities that hinted at his future potential as a ruler. He was tall and handsome, with a regal bearing that commanded respect and admiration from those around him. He had a quick mind, capable of grasping complex concepts with ease, and a talent for organization, which allowed him to manage affairs efficiently. These skills would serve him well in the future, as he navigated the challenges and responsibilities of leadership. However, despite his many strengths, Xerxes also had a temper and could be impulsive, traits that would sometimes lead to rash decisions and conflicts. In 486 BC, Darius I died. Xerxes, now about 36 years old, became the new great king. Growing up in the Persian court, Xerxes received an education befitting a future king. He was trained in martial arts, leadership, and governance. His father, Darius, ensured that Xerxes understood the complexities of ruling an empire. Atossa also played a crucial role, instilling in him the values and traditions of the Persian nobility. But his path to the throne wasn't smooth. There were other contenders, including his older half-brother. Xerxes had to assert his right to rule. He did this with a combination of political skill and force. Once on the throne, Xerxes faced immediate challenges. Egypt had rebelled against Persian rule. Xerxes responded with decisive action. He led an army to Egypt and crushed the rebellion. But Egypt wasn't the only problem. Babylon, another key part of the empire, also rose in revolt. These early challenges shaped Xerxes as a ruler. With his empire secure, Xerxes turned his attention westward towards the lands that had eluded his father. His father, Darius, had tried to conquer Greece and failed, suffering a humiliating defeat at the Battle of Marathon. Now Xerxes was determined to finish the job, to succeed where his father had not. He spent years meticulously planning and preparing for the invasion, ensuring every detail was accounted for. He gathered a massive army and fleet, the likes of which the ancient world had never seen. In 480 BC, Xerxes led his army across the Hellespont on a bridge of boats, a feat of engineering and determination. The army marched through Thrace and Macedonia, a seemingly unstoppable force heading for Greece. The Greeks were divided and outnumbered, their city-states often at odds with one another. But a few city-states, led by the fierce warriors of Sparta and the strategic minds of Athens, decided to unite and fight against the Persian threat. The first major battle came at Thermopylae, a narrow pass that would become legendary. A small Greek force, led by the Spartan king Leonidas, held this narrow pass against the vast Persian army. For 3 days they resisted against overwhelming odds, their bravery and tactics becoming the stuff of legend. Ultimately, the Greeks were defeated, but their stand at Thermopylae delayed the Persian advance, buying precious time for the rest of Greece to prepare for the battles to come. After the heroic stand at Thermopylae, the Persian king Xerxes marched his vast army deeper into Greece. What happened next would change history forever. Xerxes advanced towards Athens, burning and pillaging as he went. The Athenians, however, had evacuated the city, leaving it to be burned. But the Greeks had a plan. Led by Themistocles, they lured the Persian navy into the narrow straits of Salamis. Here, the smaller and more maneuverable Greek ships devastated the Persian fleet. But the story doesn't end here. What secrets lie ahead in the final battles for Greece? Find out in our next episode. Make sure to subscribe to Taleforge TV so you don't miss the amazing episodes.
The hot Greek sun beat down on the shores of Thermopylae. The air, thick with the stench of death, carried a somber truth. The Spartans were gone. King Leonidas and his brave 300 had fallen, their sacrifice buying precious time for the rest of Greece. Xerxes, the god-king of Persia, had smashed through the Spartan defiance with the might of his vast army. His path to Athens lay open, seemingly unstoppable.
Yet the spirit of Greece remained unbroken. The Greeks, though mourning their fallen heroes, knew the fight was far from over. The Persian Empire, a colossal force that had swallowed countless kingdoms, now faced a foe unlike any other, a people united by their love for freedom. The Greek city-states, often at odds with each other, set aside their differences. They forged a fragile alliance, understanding that their survival depended on facing Xerxes as one.
The Persian army, vast and imposing, marched south. They carried with them the memory of Thermopylae, a victory tinged with the unsettling bravery of their enemy. Xerxes, seeking to crush any further resistance, demanded nothing less than complete submission. He would soon learn that the Greeks were not a people easily cowed. The fires of defiance, instead of being extinguished, burned brighter against the encroaching Persian shadow. Athens, the jewel of the Aegean, pulsed with activity. Men, hardened by the sea and sun, prepared their ships for war. Blacksmiths worked tirelessly, the clang of hammer on metal a rhythmic counterpoint to the frantic preparations. Women and children, their faces etched with worry, gathered supplies and bid farewell to their loved ones.
The Greek alliance, though hastily assembled, was a force to be reckoned with. Athens, famed for its navy, provided the bulk of the warships. These triremes, sleek and deadly, were crewed by experienced sailors, men who knew the Aegean like the backs of their hands.
Sparta, though reeling from its losses at Thermopylae, rallied its forces. Their reputation as fierce warriors, undimmed by recent events, sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest Persian soldier. Smaller city-states, inspired by the courage of their larger brethren, sent what troops and ships they could muster. Corinth, Megara, and others, though wary of Persian might, understood that their fate was inextricably linked to the outcome of this conflict. Theirs was a fight not just for land or power, but for the very soul of Greece. The weight of history rested on their shoulders.
The Persian Empire, with its vast armies and seemingly inexhaustible resources, had never tasted defeat on this scale. The Greeks, outnumbered and outmatched, were fueled by something far more potent, the burning desire for freedom. They would fight not just for their lives, but for the right to live as they chose, to chart their own destiny.
Off the coast of Euboea, the waters churned. Hundreds of warships, their sails billowing in the wind, faced each other in a deadly ballet. The stage was set for the Battle of Artemisium, a clash of civilizations that would determine the fate of Greece. The Greek fleet, outnumbered but not outmatched, took up position in the narrow straits. Their triremes, nimble and swift, were perfectly suited for close-quarters combat. The Persian ships, larger and heavier, found themselves hampered by the confined space.
The Greeks, led by the Athenian admiral Themistocles, knew that their only hope lay in exploiting every advantage they could muster. The sound of drums echoed across the water, a primal beat that signaled the start of the battle. The Persian fleet, a seemingly endless mass of wood and sail, surged forward. Greek and Persian ships collided, the air thick with the splintering of wood, the cries of dying men, and the clang of sword on bronze. The Battle of Artemisium raged for 3 days. The Greeks, fighting with unmatched ferocity, inflicted heavy losses on the Persian fleet. Storms, whipped up by the gods themselves, smashed into both sides, adding to the chaos. Despite their valiant efforts, the Greeks knew that time was running out. News arrived from the south. Thermopylae had fallen, the Persian army was on the move, and Athens lay directly in its path.
As the sun dipped below the horizon on the third day of battle, a lone ship arrived at Artemisium. It carried with it news of Thermopylae that broke the hearts of the Greek sailors. King Leonidas and his Spartans, fighting to the last man, had been overwhelmed by the sheer might of the Persian army. A wave of grief washed over the fleet. The Spartans had been a symbol of unwavering courage, a bulwark against the Persian tide. Their sacrifice, though heroic, cast a long shadow over the Greek cause.
Themistocles, ever the pragmatist, knew that the time for mourning would come later. The Persian fleet, though bloodied, was still a formidable force. With Thermopylae lost, the path to Athens lay open. The Athenian general gathered his fellow commanders. They stood on the deck of his flagship, the flickering lamplight illuminating their grim faces as the news from the south sank in. A difficult choice lay before them: stay and fight, risking annihilation, or retreat and live to fight another day.
The debate was fierce. Some argued for standing their ground, for honoring the sacrifice of the Spartans with their own. Others, recognizing the futility of further resistance at Artemisium, urged a strategic withdrawal. The fate of Greece, it seemed, hung precariously in the balance. Themistocles, his mind sharp and calculating, listened intently to his advisors. He weighed the options, carefully considering the potential consequences of each decision. He knew that the survival of Greece rested on his shoulders. A single misstep could spell disaster. The weight of that responsibility pressed down on him, heavy as the sea air. The decision, when it came, was agonizing but necessary. Themistocles, with the reluctant agreement of his fellow commanders, ordered the Greek fleet to withdraw. Under the cover of darkness, they slipped away from Artemisium, leaving behind the burning wreckage of their encounter with the Persian fleet.
The retreat, though difficult, was a testament to our strategic brilliance. Preserving the Greek navy was paramount. Our ships were the only thing standing between Xerxes and complete domination of the Aegean. To risk their destruction in a hopeless battle would be a grave mistake.
As the Greek ships sailed south, a sense of urgency gripped the fleet. Athens, with its magnificent temples and bustling agora, lay exposed to the full fury of the Persian army. The sailors, though exhausted from the battle, rowed with a renewed sense of purpose. They had fought bravely at Artemisium, proving that the Persians were not invincible. But the war was far from over. The fate of Greece and their loved ones back in Athens hung precariously in the balance. The journey south was fraught with danger. Persian ships, eager to capitalize on their victory at Artemisium, patrolled the Aegean. The Greeks, relying on their superior knowledge of the treacherous waters, evaded their pursuers, using every tactic at their disposal to stay one step ahead. Every sunrise brought the threat of discovery, every sunset the hope of reaching Athens before it was too late. News of the Greek retreat from Artemisium reached Athens like a cold wind. Panic gripped the city. The Persian army, vast and unstoppable, was marching south, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The citizens of Athens, accustomed to peace and prosperity, were ill-prepared for the horrors of war.
The city's leaders gathered in the shadow of the Acropolis, their faces etched with worry. They faced an impossible choice: abandon our beloved city to the mercy of the Persians, or stay and face certain annihilation. The debate raged for days. Some argued for seeking terms with Xerxes, for throwing ourselves upon his mercy. Others, fueled by a burning sense of defiance, refused to contemplate surrender.
Themistocles, arriving in Athens with the remnants of his fleet, knew that time was running out. He addressed the assembly, his voice echoing through the hushed chamber. His words were stark, devoid of embellishment. He painted a grim picture of the situation, warning that resistance within the city walls was futile. To survive, he argued, they must abandon Athens.
Our survival, not our city walls, is paramount. We must evacuate the entire population of Athens to the nearby island of Salamis.
His proposal was met with outrage. For many, the thought of abandoning their homes, their temples, their very identity was unthinkable. But Themistocles, ever the pragmatist, stood firm in his resolve. Themistocles' words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of sacrifice. The citizens of Athens, accustomed to the comfort and security of their city, were now faced with an agonizing choice: cling to their homes or abandon them for an uncertain future. The debate, though passionate, was ultimately settled by the harsh realities of war. Xerxes' army, vast and merciless, was closing in. To stay meant certain destruction.
And so began one of the largest civilian evacuations in human history. Men, women, and children, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and resolve, streamed out of Athens, their meager possessions bundled on their backs. The road to Piraeus, Athens' port city, became a river of humanity, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity.
The Athenian fleet, their triremes packed with as many souls as they could safely carry, ferried the refugees across the narrow strait to the island of Salamis. The island, though rugged and unforgiving, offered a sanctuary, a temporary respite from the Persian onslaught. As the last of the refugees reached the relative safety of Salamis, they cast anxious glances back towards the mainland. The sun, a fiery orb sinking towards the horizon, cast long shadows over Athens, a city bracing itself for the inevitable.
The evacuation, though chaotic and heartbreaking, was a testament to Themistocles' leadership. He had, in the face of overwhelming odds, convinced an entire city to abandon their homes, their livelihoods, their very way of life, all in the name of a future that hung precariously in the balance.
A strange silence descended upon Athens. Gone was the hustle and bustle of city life, the laughter of children playing in the agora, the rhythmic clang of hammers from the workshops. The streets, once teeming with life, were now eerily deserted, the only sound the mournful cry of the wind whistling through the empty alleyways.
The Persian army, a vast multicolored serpent, arrived at the gates of Athens, their arrival heralded by the pounding of drums and the shrill blast of trumpets. The Xerxes, the god-king, resplendent in his chariot, surveyed the city with a mixture of triumph and disappointment. He had expected resistance, a grand battle that would cement his legacy as the conqueror of Greece. Instead, he found a ghost town, its citizens vanished, their fate unknown.
The Persian soldiers, their discipline momentarily shaken by the eerie silence, fanned out through the deserted streets. They entered homes, finding them empty, the hearths cold, the only evidence of their former occupants a few scattered belongings left behind in haste.
The temples, those magnificent monuments to the Greek gods, were spared no mercy. The Persians, fueled by a potent mix of religious zeal and a desire for plunder, looted the sacred spaces. Their sacrilegious acts, a deliberate insult to the Greek people.
As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the city, a plume of smoke rose from the Acropolis, a sure sign that Xerxes, frustrated by the lack of resistance, had ordered his men to put the city to the torch. On the rocky shores of Salamis, the Athenian refugees watched with heavy hearts as the smoke from their burning city rose into the sky, a grim testament to the destructive power of the Persian war machine. The sight, though heartbreaking, served as a grim reminder of what was at stake. Their homes, their temples, their very way of life, all had been sacrificed in the hope of achieving a victory that seemed increasingly improbable.
The Greek fleet, their triremes pulled up on the beaches of Salamis, prepared for the inevitable confrontation with the Persian navy. The air crackled with tension, the sailors going about their duties with a quiet determination, their faces hardened by the knowledge that the fate of Greece rested on their shoulders.
Themistocles, ever the strategist, paced the deck of his flagship, his mind working furiously, analyzing every possible scenario, searching for a way to overcome the Persian numerical superiority. He knew that the narrow straits of Salamis offered the Greeks their only advantage. The Persian ships, larger and less maneuverable, would be forced to fight on Greek terms, their numerical advantage negated by the confined space.
But I also know that I can't rely on geography alone. I need a plan, a bold and cunning strategy that will exploit every weakness in the Persian ranks and give us, outnumbered and outmatched, a fighting chance.
The smoke from a burning Athens painted the sky a mournful gray, a visible scar across the heart of Greece. News of the city's fall spread like wildfire, reaching the refugees on Salamis and the soldiers manning their ships. Despair threatened to engulf them, the loss of their homes and temples a bitter pill to swallow.
Yet, from the ashes of defeat rose a new kind of determination. The sight of our beloved city in flames ignited a fire within us, a potent mix of grief and fury that fueled our desire for vengeance. The Persian act of destruction, meant to break our spirit, had instead forged it into something stronger, something unbreakable.
On Salamis, the Athenian refugees, many of whom had lost everything, grieved for their city. They shared stories of their escape, of the homes and lives they'd left behind, their voices heavy with sorrow.
Yet, amidst the tears and the heartache, there was a sense of defiance. We may have lost our homes, but we would not lose our spirit, our will to resist.
The soldiers, witnessing the plight of their families and countrymen, were spurred on by a renewed sense of purpose. They would fight not just for their own survival, but for the future of Greece, for the right to rebuild their lives, and for the chance to avenge the injustice inflicted upon them.
Xerxes, the self-proclaimed god king, stood on the Attica shoreline, his eyes fixed on the smoldering ruins of Athens. He believed that the destruction of their city would crush the Greek spirit, forcing them into submission.
He had misjudged them. The flames that consumed Athens did not signal the end of Greek resistance, they fueled it. Xerxes, blinded by his early victories and drunk on his own power, failed to grasp the spirit of the people he sought to conquer. He underestimated their resolve, their unwavering belief in freedom, and their deep connection to their homeland. The Persian court, a whirlwind of luxury and intrigue, buzzed with talk of the Greek fleet gathering at Salamis. Some advisors urged caution, warning of the dangers of engaging the Greeks in the narrow straits. They spoke of the Greeks' naval prowess, their ability to turn the confines of the straits to their advantage. Xerxes, however, dismissed their concerns. He had at his command the largest navy the world had ever seen. He believed that victory at Salamis would be swift and decisive, the final blow needed to crush the Greek resistance once and for all. His confidence, however, was misplaced. It was this hubris, this unshakable belief in his own invincibility, that would ultimately prove to be his undoing. He had fallen into the oldest of traps, underestimating his enemy.
Themistocles, ever the cunning strategist, knew that he had to lure the Persian fleet into a decisive battle, one in which the Greeks' superior seamanship and knowledge of the local waters would give them the upper hand. He devised a plan, a daring gamble that relied on Xerxes' overconfidence and impatience. He sent a message to the Persian king, a carefully crafted message designed to play on Xerxes' desire for a swift and glorious victory.
The message, delivered by a seemingly defecting Greek slave, claimed that the Greek fleet was in disarray, their morale shattered by the fall of Athens. Themistocles' plan was a masterpiece of deception. He knew that Xerxes, eager to capitalize on what he perceived as Greek weakness, would readily believe the message. The Persian king, hungry for glory and eager to return to his opulent lifestyle, would be tempted to launch a hasty attack, believing that the Greeks were on the verge of collapse. The trap was set. Now all Themistocles could do was wait and pray that the Persian king would take the bait. The fate of Greece, the future of Western civilization itself, hung precariously on the success of his deception. As the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness, a vast shadow fell upon the narrow straits of Salamis. The Persian fleet, a seemingly endless armada of warships, advanced with terrifying grandeur. Their sails, emblazoned with the symbols of 100 conquered nations, billowed in the morning breeze, a testament to the might and reach of the Persian Empire. On the opposite shore, the Greek ships lay in wait, their crews tense with anticipation. The air crackled with a palpable tension, the silence broken only by the gentle lapping of waves against their hulls. and the distant sound of Persian drums beating a relentless rhythm of war.
Themistocles, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration, watched from his flagship as the Persian ships drew closer. He had gambled everything on this one desperate plan. He had lured the enemy into a trap, a confined battlefield where Greek courage and naval skill would have to overcome Persian numbers.
The sound of a trumpet, sharp and clear, cut through the morning air, signaling the start of the battle. The Greek ships, propelled by the muscle and sweat of hundreds of oarsmen, surged forward to meet the enemy. Their bronze rams, gleaming menacingly in the rising sun, were aimed at the hearts of the Persian vessels. Fury in the straits, the Greeks turned the tide. The clash, when it came, was deafening. The narrow straits of Salamis became a maelstrom of wood and bronze, a chaotic ballet of death and destruction.
Greek triremes, nimble and swift, darted through the water, exploiting gaps in the Persian lines. Their bronze rams smashed into the flanks of the larger, less maneuverable enemy vessels.
The Persians, initially confident in their superior numbers, found themselves hampered by the confined space. Their ships, too large to maneuver effectively, became easy targets for the agile Greek triremes. Panic began to spread through the Persian ranks as their carefully ordered formations dissolved into chaos.
The Greeks, fighting with the ferocity of cornered wolves, pressed their attack. Their archers, perched on platforms high above the decks, rained a deadly hail of arrows down upon the enemy, while Athenian hoplites, heavily armed and armored, boarded Persian ships, engaging in brutal hand-to-hand combat.
The sea itself turned crimson with the blood of the fallen, the air thick with the stench of death and the cries of dying men. Themistocles, directing the Greek fleet with a calm intensity, exploited every advantage, every tactical opportunity. He had anticipated Persian confusion, their inability to effectively utilize their superior numbers in the narrow straits. Xerxes' defeat witnessed to disaster. High atop a cliff overlooking the Straits of Salamis, Xerxes, the self-proclaimed God King, watched in horror as his once mighty navy was systematically dismantled by the Greeks.
His grand dreams of conquest, fueled by years of planning and the sacrifice of countless lives, are turning to ash before his eyes. Persian ships, their decks littered with the bodies of his soldiers, collided with each other, their movements clumsy and uncoordinated. The Greeks, their ships seemingly everywhere at once, harried the flanks of the Persian fleet, their attacks relentless and deadly. The air, thick with the smoke from burning ships and the stench of blood, carries the sound of clashing steel, the screams of the wounded, and the triumphant roars of the Greek victors. Each cry of victory, each dying gasp of a Persian soldier is a hammer blow to his pride, a stark reminder of his folly.
He had underestimated the Greeks, their courage, their skill, and their unwavering determination to defend their homeland. He had allowed his hubris, his belief in his own invincibility, to blind him to the reality of the situation. The defeat at Salamis was not just a military disaster, it was a personal humiliation, a shattering blow to Xerxes' carefully constructed image as the invincible ruler of the world. Thank you for watching today's episode on the rise and fall of Xerxes I. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the ancient world. In our next episode, we'll cover Mardonius' last stand, the final phase of Xerxes' invasion. Witness the fierce battle on Plataea's plains where Greece's fate hangs in the balance. Will Mardonius succeed, or will the Greek alliance turn the tide again? Don't miss out! Hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to get notified of our latest episodes. Join the conversation by leaving your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Your insights might be featured in our upcoming videos. Thank you for being a part of the TaleForge TV community. Until next time, keep exploring the wonders of the ancient world.
A time when the Persian Empire was on the brink of conquering the Greece. After the heroic stand at Thermopylae and the naval triumph at Salamis, the Greeks faced one final, massive challenge. In today's episode, we'll uncover the dramatic events of Mardonius' last stand and the pivotal battles that decided the fate of Greece. But before we get into it, make sure to subscribe to TaleForge TV for more captivating stories from the ancient world. After Xerxes retreated to Persia, he left his most trusted general, Mardonius, in command of a formidable force of 300,000 soldiers. Mardonius was determined to crush the Greek resistance and secure Persian dominance. He aimed to exploit the divisions among the Greek city-states, hoping to weaken their resolve and force them into submission. Over the winter, Mardonius tried to win over the Greeks with diplomacy. He offered Athens and other key city-states autonomy and aid for reconstruction if they would join him. However, the Greeks, especially the Athenians, remained defiant, inspired by their recent victories. Key Greek leaders like Themistocles and Aristides played a crucial role in maintaining this unity and rejecting Persian overtures. As spring arrived, Mardonius led his forces to the plains of Plataea in 479 BC. Here, a massive Greek coalition, composed of troops from various city-states including Sparta, Athens and Corinth, awaited him. The Greeks were commanded by the Spartan Pausanias and the Athenian Aristides, both experienced and capable leaders. The Battle of Plataea was one of the largest and most significant battles in ancient history. Both armies engaged in initial skirmishes and maneuvers, trying to gain an advantageous position. The Greeks, known for their disciplined phalanx formation, held their ground firmly. The Spartans, in particular, played a critical role with their unwavering discipline and combat skills. In the heat of the battle, Mardonius himself was struck down. His death led to a collapse in Persian morale and organization. The Greek forces seized the opportunity, breaking through the Persian lines and causing chaos among the remaining troops. The Persians, now leaderless and disoriented, were pursued and defeated by the Greeks, securing a decisive and final victory at Plataea. On the same day as the Battle of Plataea, another crucial encounter unfolded on the shores of Ionia, the Battle of Mycale. The Greek fleet, led by Leotychides and Xanthippus, launched a surprise attack on the Persian camp. They were supported by Ionian Greeks who joined the fight against their Persian oppressors. The Persian fleet was destroyed, and the Ionian cities were liberated from Persian control. The twin victories at Plataea and Mycale marked the end of Persian invasion efforts and ensured the independence of the Greek city-states. These battles not only ended Xerxes' ambitions, but also paved the way for the rise of classical Greece, a period that would see unprecedented growth in art, philosophy, and democracy. Thank you for watching today's episode on Taleforge TV. If you enjoyed learning about Mardonius' last stand and the decisive battles of Plataea and Mycale, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. In our next episode, we'll explore the aftermath of these battles and the beginning of the Golden Age of Athens. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Your insights might be featured in our upcoming videos. Until next time, keep exploring the wonders of the ancient world.
Have you ever wondered how a failed military campaign could lead to one of the greatest architectural marvels of the ancient world? Stay tuned as we uncover the incredible story of Xerxes I, his retreat from the Battle of Salamis, and the grand vision he brought to life upon his return to Persia. Welcome back to Taleforge TV, your go-to channel for captivating tales from history. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Today, we're diving into the aftermath of Xerxes' retreat from Salamis and how this pivotal moment reshaped the Persian Empire in ways you might not expect. In our previous episode, we discussed the rise of Xerxes I and his ambitious campaign against Greece. After a series of battles, including the famous Battle of Thermopylae, Xerxes faced a significant defeat at the Battle of Salamis. Greek naval commander, the Greek navy, employing clever tactics, managed to outmaneuver and decimate the much larger Persian fleet, forcing Xerxes to retreat. Xerxes' retreat from Greece was more than just a military withdrawal. It marked a turning point for the Persian Empire. Xerxes then returning to Persia, Xerxes faced the enormous task of restoring his authority and stabilizing his realm after the costly and demoralizing campaign. Recognizing the need to consolidate his power and leave a lasting legacy, Xerxes turned his attention to grand architectural projects.
These constructions were not just symbols of power and wealth, but also practical measures to unify and administer his vast empire.
One of the most impressive projects initiated by Xerxes was the completion of the Gate of All Nations in Persepolis.
This monumental gateway, adorned with intricate carvings and towering statues, welcomed dignitaries and representatives from across the empire, showcasing the might and cultural diversity of Persia.
Additionally, Xerxes commissioned the construction of the Hall of 100 Columns, one of the largest roofed buildings of the ancient world.
This immense hall was used for significant state functions and ceremonies, emphasizing the grandeur of the Persian court.
Xerxes also invested in the infrastructure of his empire, improving roads and building bridges to facilitate better communication and trade across his vast territories.
The Royal Road, a massive network of roads stretching across the empire, was enhanced during his reign, making travel and administration more efficient. Beyond these tangible projects, Xerxes' efforts in reshaping his empire included administrative reforms.
He reorganized the empire's provinces, known as satrapies, to ensure more effective governance.
This reorganization helped in better tax collection, security, and local administration, strengthening the central authority of the king. Xerxes' architectural and administrative initiatives left a lasting impact on the Persian Empire, reflecting his vision of a strong, unified realm. These efforts helped maintain the empire's cohesion and stability long after his reign, influencing subsequent Persian rulers. Thank you for watching today's episode on Xerxes I and his remarkable contributions to the Persian Empire. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to Taleforge TV for more fascinating historical insights. In our next episode, we'll explore the mysterious end of Xerxes and the conspiracies that lead to his death. See you next time. Stay tuned. What happened when the mighty Xerxes, King of Kings, returned to Persia after his crushing defeat in Greece? Stay with us as we uncover the intense and dramatic events that led to his untimely death and the ensuing chaos. But first, don't forget to subscribe to Taleforge TV, your go-to channel for captivating history stories. After suffering a crushing defeat at the hands of the Greeks in 479 BCE, Xerxes I, the ruler of the vast Persian Empire, returned to his homeland. The opulent court in Persepolis awaited him, filled with grand palaces, lush gardens, and treasures from across his empire. Xerxes' return was marked by a mix of relief and tension. He had been a formidable conqueror, but his recent losses cast a shadow over his reign. The Persian court was a place of unmatched luxury. Gold, silver, and precious gems adorned every corner. Xerxes' court was also a center of political intrigue, where loyalty and betrayal walked hand in hand. High-ranking officials, military leaders, and royal family members all vied for the king's favor, creating an atmosphere thick with tension. Xerxes' defeat in Greece had sown seeds of discontent among his subjects and within his court. Many questioned his ability to rule, and whispers of conspiracy began to circulate. Among the most discontented were his own family members and trusted advisors. The losses in Greece were not just a blow to Persian pride, but also a financial strain on the empire, further fueling the flames of rebellion. Behind closed doors, a sinister plot began to take shape.
The time has come to act. We must rid ourselves of Xerxes.
Yes, Artabanus, his death will bring the stability we need. Our ambitions align perfectly.
Artabanus, the commander of the royal bodyguard, and Megabyzus, a powerful nobleman, conspired to assassinate Xerxes.
We must gather our supporters and plan meticulously. One mistake, and it could be our heads.
Their motivations were rooted in personal ambition and a belief that the king's death would bring stability to the empire. They gathered supporters and meticulously planned their move, knowing that one mistake could cost them their lives. The night of the assassination was dark and tense.
Wait for the cover of night. We strike when the palace sleeps.
Artabanus and his co-conspirators waited for the cover of night to strike.
Now into the chambers, be swift and silent.
They entered Xerxes' chambers where the king slept unsuspectingly. With swift and brutal efficiency, they murdered Xerxes, ending his 21-year reign. The silence of the night was shattered by the act that would plunge Persia into chaos. The news of Xerxes' death spread rapidly, and the Persian court erupted into turmoil.
We must secure our positions immediately. The throne cannot remain vacant.
Artabanus tried to seize power, but he faced immediate opposition. Xerxes' sons, including Artaxerxes I, quickly moved to secure their positions.
Form alliances, break those against us. We must act decisively.
The power struggle that ensued was fierce and bloody, with alliances forming and breaking at a dizzying pace. Ultimately, Artaxerxes I emerged victorious, but the stability of the empire had been deeply shaken. Xerxes' death marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter in Persian history. The intrigue, betrayal, and power struggles of this time serve as a stark reminder of the precarious nature of power. Join us next time as we explore the reign of Artaxerxes I and the challenges he faced in restoring order to his empire. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Taleforge TV for more fascinating history stories.